What I'm going to talk about in this video ties into the whole apathy problem in this country I've talked about a lot lately on this channel. When the tariff debacle was at its peak a few months ago, right around when the Switch 2 Direct happened, and the controversy surrounding the prices of certain Switch 2 games and the price of the Switch 2 itself, and then Nintendo having to delay pre-orders here in the States, because there was a big question mark at the time regarding whether Nintendo had to raise the price of the Switch 2 or not. And I watched videos and news clips discussing this, and the comment sections under these videos really annoyed me. A lot of them were essentially, I don't normally give a shit about politics, but this really pisses me off. And I'm like, really? The one thing that gets you to pay attention to the world around you and current events is the prospect of your video games and video game systems becoming even more expensive? Okay, sure, on one hand, if something so trivial in the grand scheme of things is the catalyst to getting these people to realize that they should pay at least a little bit more attention to what goes on in this world, then fine, but I just wish that that wasn't the case for so many people. It's like I've said, people only care about politics when it personally inconveniences them, but I've already complained about that to ad nauseum on this channel. The point I do want to convey in this video instead is, yes, politics affects you too. It doesn't matter how much you plug your ears, you will still be fucked over as much as everyone else. I think a good example of this is the One Big Beautiful Bill. Hate that name, by the way. Ugh, just like Kyle Kalinske said. I hate how everything is becoming Trumpified, quote-unquote. Anyway, this bill recently passed the House, barely, and if it passes the Senate in its current form, you're looking at substantial cuts in social safety net programs like Medicaid, for example. If this bill is passed in its current form, over the next decade, Medicaid will see over $900 billion in cuts. This means Medicaid recipients could see delayed assistance when it comes to coverage for medical procedures they may need, or Medicaid recipients could be outright denied medical procedures and assistance because Medicaid may not be able to reimburse healthcare providers because of how underfunded they would be. My uncle, who had a stroke last July, is a Medicaid recipient. He is going to be disabled for the rest of his life. He's not going to be able to walk unassisted. His right arm is dead. Now, he's 62, so in 2 years' time, he'll be eligible for Medicare. But I think of all of the people in this country who are in similar positions. They're disabled, they rely on Medicaid to survive, essentially, and they would be majorly fucked over by this spending bill, and any low-income person in this country in general would be too. I can't find it anywhere in my heart to be like, whatever, it's not my problem, I'm not disabled, I'm young and healthy, and not in any immediate need of medical assistance. Not only because this could very well be me one day, and this directly impacts my family because, again, my disabled uncle is under our care now, but I can also just muster up basic baseline level empathy for people in lesser fortunate positions. I think when a lot of people online say, I don't pay attention to politics, I don't care about politics, it's all stupid in the end, I think they're referring to the stupid woke versus anti-woke bullshit. They think the left is too sensitive, the right is too annoying, with their constant screeching of minorities in video games and female protagonists in video games. And they feel above having to take a side and all of that, but they don't think about the actual policies that affect people every single day. They reduce politics down to stupid online discourse, which I think is harmful because a lot of this stupid discourse, like again, about minorities in video games or all trans people are gonna groom your kids, is meant to distract you from disastrous policy like, again, gutting Medicaid, giving even more tax breaks to the rich, and said tax cuts that are also in the spending bill I just talked about adds another $2 trillion to this country's deficit, which citizens would see the ramifications of in the form of even higher inflation, mortgages going up, bills going up, while paychecks, of course, remain the same. This is real-world politics, and it affects you. This doesn't mean the culture war bullshit isn't without its dire consequences either. I mean, literally just the other day, a voice actor from, I believe, King of the Hill died via a hate crime because he was a gay man. Even the stupid elements of politics have real-life consequences. Yes, like I said, there's still a distraction, but it still leads to, say, trans kids and trans people in general being denied gender-affirming care in red states States. People being discriminated for their sexual orientation and or gender identity. Jim Crow era racism is seeing a big resurgence. I mean, it was what, only a month ago you had that stupid mother yell the N-word at a little black boy, and a disturbing amount of people online applauded that, and she got, I'm sure by now, over $1 million in donations for doing that. This country is headed down a very scary trajectory, and to be apathetic to all of this is letting bigots win. It's being permissible of their hatred, or at the very least, you don't like their hatred, but you don't care enough to say anything about the hatred, and therefore, whether you would like to admit it or not, you're okay with the hatred festering and spreading. This doesn't mean you have to be completely consumed by politics. Contrary to what you may believe about me, I take breaks from paying attention to political discourse and current events. I get burnt out. It's depressing news after depressing news, more and more affirmation of how ugly and hateful this country and world in general is. So for the sake of my mental health, I take breathers from digesting all of this news. But I refuse to completely bury my head in the sand because there are countless people who are impacted by negative policy and bigoted talking points that I shouldn't lose sight of, and some of whom I know in my personal life and here online. And that's why politics, as bleak and depressing of a subject as it is still not a subject anyone should be apathetic towards. It affects everyone, not just select groups of people you could easily ignore. And even if that was the extent of its impact, it would still be a subject you shouldn't ignore. But since that's not the extent of its impact, you 110% do not have an excuse to tune out what is going on in the world around you. Anyway, apologies for speaking quietly in this video. I think I'm coming down with a sore throat. Yes, in June, and oh dear. The reason I'm a little worried is because I have a very strong immune system. I very, very rarely get sick, but when I do get sick, I get very fucking sick. And on top of that, I have a headache. Keep me in your thoughts and prayers. That's all I have to say. Bye-bye.